Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Attitudes with Andy. It has been a hot minute. I'm kind of feeling nervous because I haven't recorded in so long. I honestly think it's been about 2 months. I came into the studio this morning and I was like, what? This feels so special and exciting to be here. But I'm also like, why do I feel like I'm starting all over again? Anyway, welcome to 2024. I don't know about you guys, but that year, 2023 just flew by. And I have a feeling it's only going to keep getting quicker and quicker. So today we're going to be talking all about how to have a cracking 2024. We're not talking about any cringy, setting unrealistic New Year's resolutions that we never stick to. No, today we're going to be auditing our life. We're going to be asking questions that will help us lead to what we actually want and how to get there in a calm and soothing way. You know, if you are one who's going to be like, I'm going to run 5 kilometers every single day for the whole year, love that for you. But this is more for the calmer people who still want a brilliant year and all of that, but just breaking everything down into bite-sized, achievable chunks. Okay, but before we go into this, I just want to say that the podcast is having a bit of a revamp, and honestly, the whole Attitudes with Andy community will be changing for the better, in my personal belief. But I just want to be honest with you guys, and that has been that I haven't been completely honest with you in the content that I've been providing and the way that I've been providing it, because when I think back to why I truly started this podcast, it was honestly because I wanted a place where I could share tips and tricks on how people can live like happier and more joyful lives, and basically building people's base level of happiness up, because like a lot of you listening might be living a beautiful, happy life, but then you might be like, I wonder if I can feel a little bit happier, and what there are little tips and tricks to do. And so that is why I created this community. And in all honesty, I kind of hid behind the guests, getting guests on every single week to learn from them, kept me away from like actually sharing my own stuff. Anyway, so I'm glad that I had that epiphany. We will 110% still have guests on because I absolutely adore having them on, and I feel like we all learn so much from them. But there will be more of these mini episodes and more of Andy. And on the Instagram page, go check it out at Attitudes with Andy. It's not just going to be clips of the podcast. It's going to be teaching little habits or spreading happiness and stuff. So yeah, I'm here to spread happiness, to empower people, and thank you for following along. Okay, so 2024. How are we going to have the best year of our lives? If you're listening to this and it's safe to do so, please feel free to kind of pause this podcast when I ask the questions, and you can journal them. Or if you're in the car, maybe just pause it and then speak out loud your thoughts, because I'm going to be asking you guys a series of questions. All right. So let's go through the kind of like pillars of our life. They're kind of main things, and when we don't have it in our lives or we don't have it all together, it can kind of affect the quality of our life. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is your work life, okay? Now, a lot of us are in our 20s, so our work life doesn't have to be our dream job, right? We can't have that expectations right now, but are you in a place where you feel like you're working towards where you want to be, you're feeling fulfilled, and you're learning and growing? Or do you constantly experience the Sunday scaries, which apparently is on Sunday when you feel really sad because you know that you have to go into the office the next day? Are you experiencing that a lot, and your job is becoming a chore, and you're not excited for it, and you feel like you've not grown in a while, and you're not being challenged, you're kind of just existing, okay? So this is something really important to know, because obviously we spend so much of our time working, and I won't expose too much, but last summer when I was with my family and friends, they were like, oh, what do you do? And I was saying what I did, and I was saying my job. And then I suddenly realized, in like just that little gut feeling, I was like, I'm not being completely honest with myself. And I was like, yeah, I'm not. And so it's been a journey, and I'm definitely still changing things in my work life and also my passion life to suit where I want to be and the person I want to be. I just need to turn something down. I'm sounding very loud to myself. Okay. Oh, all right. That's better. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it's good to just take note. I feel like sometimes we can accept a job because at the time we had no job and it just came up. So we're like, yeah, whatever. And then sometimes we accidentally get like thrown into that area without realizing, wait, this is not what I want to be doing. This is not fulfilling me. Okay. And if you're having that realization, that's A-okay. All right. So just check in, see how you're feeling. I'm not saying you need to quit your job or anything dramatic, but you can be like, okay, maybe I'm not enjoying it, but what could I do to make it more enjoyable? Could I ask my boss for a little bit more flexibility? Could I ask my boss for a little bit more responsibility? Could I ask my boss to look into a new area of the company and try out that, okay? So we don't need to do drastic things like quitting a job, although if you want to do that, YOLO, but just taking note because this is a very important area of our life. Okay, next area, our friends. Do we have a beautiful community of people? Maybe you actually have lots of individual friends. It doesn't necessarily need to be one group of friends. But do we have like a community of people where we're feeling supported and loved and also healthily challenged and inspired? I think that's a really, really important aspect is our friends and our social life, okay? I've spoken on this podcast many times before about, I used to be friends with a group of people who still great people. They just weren't my people. And when I hung out with them, it just didn't feel right. And I kind of felt lonely being around them. Whereas now I've been very, very almost fussy and particular about the type of people I hang out with because like we can get along, like if you're an extrovert, you can get along with a lot of people, but it doesn't mean you need to be friends with all those people. And so picking and choosing your friends wisely is super important. And if you're kind of like, oh, maybe I don't have like as many like-minded friends as I want, that's cool. Like go to a run group, go to like coffee catch-ups. There's lots of communities. You'll be surprised in your city, hopefully, where you can go and meet similar people. So have a look at that. All right. So the third one, and this might not apply to you, but your family life. So depending on your situation with your family, sometimes people don't have close relationships with their family because of just stuff going on, and that's fine. Some of my friends, their friends are their family, and same with me. Like a lot of my friends are like family. And so that's fine as well. But I'm also very blessed to have beautiful, supportive family. But in the past, I have been not the best sister, not the best daughter, not the best cousin, not the best niece. Okay. And reflecting on that has been really good for me because I'm like, I'm not showing up how I want to be showing up. I say I value family, but like, are my actions showing that? And the answer was no, okay? And that's all right. So check in with yourself. Are you valuing your family or are you constantly choosing your friends or social life or work over your family, okay? So have a little look into that. It may not apply to you, as I said, but that has really, really changed my relationships with my family is me making more of an effort and showing more appreciation and maybe writing them thank you cards or getting them little gifts because it really does go a long way. And I truly believe that the only reason we're here, well, not the only reason, but like relationships and connections are everything. And without them, life would be meaningless because you can have all the success in the world, but if you have nobody to share it with, it doesn't mean anything. And so our relationships with any person in our life is the foundation of our happiness and our well-being. So make sure to nurture that before, as we all know, old hustle Andy days was not prioritizing connections. Okay. The next one is your home life and environment. So where you live and the people you're around is very, very important, and it's kind of going to dictate your year, to be honest. So if you're in a house where you're living with people who are quite negative or not very ambitious or quite lazy or just, downright mean, then that's really, really going to impact your year because whether you Whether you like it or not, we are 110% conditioned by our surroundings, and you can try and fight your environment as much as you want, but your environment will always win. I've definitely used this example on the podcast, but I'll just quickly say it again. They did this study where they got this person who absolutely hates jazz music to ride in the car for a whole week with their coworker who absolutely adores jazz music. Okay. So the first trip in the car, he was kind of like, oh yeah, no, I don't really like this jazz music. The second day he was just like, yeah, it's a bit neutral. By the third day he was like tapping his feet. By the fourth day he was like excited to listen to the jazz music, and by the fifth day he was like, oh, I actually like jazz music. Okay, so whilst he might not have given jazz music enough of a go, I think that story really depicts how much we really are conditioned by something, and if we're constantly exposed to something, whether it's good or bad, we will adapt to it. So make sure you're checking in. Am I actually feeling happy with my environment, with my living situation? Am I feeling inspired, or am I being brought down? And how can I change things, okay? So maybe you are living at home still, and moving out might not be an option right now, and that's okay. So maybe what could you do to kind of extract yourself from that situation? So maybe in the morning you could wake up a little bit earlier and go for a walk or have your morning routine whilst everybody's kind of in the house doing their thing, and then by the time they leave for work, you've kind of haven't had too much of an interaction with them. Or can you go hang out with friends a little bit more? Can you go do work in a library, at a cafe, etc.? Can you pop on a podcast that's saying positive things in your ears, like Attitudes with Andy? No, I'm kidding. Like, I love Tony Robbins. He's really good. But anybody who's just giving those positive vibes, if you don't have them at home right now and you can't move, playing that in your ear. Okay, so just doing things to change your environment. But if you can, try and live with people who are absolute G's. Okay. All right. Your fitness. Okay, next category and pillar is your fitness / like health and well-being. Okay, so are you feeling really good with your diet, with how much you're exercising, your relationship to your body, and how you kind of treat yourself? Are you making time for yourself each week? Are you doing a little face mask, or taking yourself out for a coffee? How is your well-being going? Because I remember, I can't remember at what point, but at some point last year, I was like, oh, Andy, you say you value health and fitness and a healthy lifestyle, but you're not really showing it in your actions at all. Like, you're eating not really great. You're being so inconsistent with working out. And so I was like, yeah, that's true. And instead of shaming yourself, it's more just being like, interesting. I wonder why that is, and I wonder what I could do to change that, all right? So we're not shaming or blaming ourselves. We're just checking in, all right? So maybe to change that, you could do a 4-week challenge, a 6-week challenge, 8-week challenge, whatever it is. These are actually really good, and I'm just about to finish an 8-week challenge, and it has been amazing to get me into the consistency of working out, because you have to check in and you don't want to be like, yeah, I actually didn't do my workouts this week. So if you need a bit of an accountability, I highly recommend like doing a little challenge where you're committed and then you're building those habits. So then when the challenge ends, hopefully you can just carry on. I don't believe in 8-week challenges to 8-week challenges to change your body or whatever. More do it for like the consistency and honoring yourself. Okay. The second last option, audit of your life. I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but we're here now, so let's do it. Your love life. Okay. So, are you feeling fulfilled in your dating life or with your partner or being single, whatever it is? So if you feel like, I'm actually in a place where I feel really happy with myself and I'm not trying to get validation from other people, so therefore I feel ready to be in a relationship, because I feel like if you're feeling lonely, definitely don't be in a relationship. Well, that's what I believe anyway. I think relationships flourish when two people are so happy and content and independent by themselves, but then they're like, hey, you're pretty cool. let's form a team. That's relationships 101. I should not ever be a relationship coach. Anyway, so are you saying like, oh, I really want a relationship, oh, but there's no good guys or there's no good girls or whatever your type is, but then you're kind of not really making an effort to go to events where you might meet someone, or even going to certain workout classes where you know the other sex that you're attracted to will be there. You know what I mean? So it's just like, are you making an active effort? Or if your relationship feels a little bit stagnant or flat, are you actually still putting in that effort to date them and to show appreciation? Or have you gotten a little bit complacent? And that's okay if that's the case, but maybe just like putting in that extra bit of effort, because I truly believe what you put in, you will get out, okay? And so yes, relationships, whether it's friendships with family or intimate relationships, they take effort and they take work, but like nothing worth having. Am I okay? Nothing worth having comes easy. So make sure that you just put in a little bit of a zhuzh. Okay, and the last topic, last foundation, last thing to audit is your hobbies, including travel. How are you feeling about your hobbies? I know that in 2023, I was like, I'm going to be that tennis girl. And then it got to November. And I was like, I have not played tennis once. Okay. And so then I was like, okay, we got to make this happen. So I went and bought some balls and I got a racket, and I have played a few times. I haven't been as consistent, but I started, and that's all that matters. So is there a hobby that you've been thinking about doing, but kind of just waiting? And I just realized, what am I waiting for? Okay. So how are you feeling about your hobbies? Have you said, oh, I really want to learn Spanish one day, really want to learn the guitar one day? No, that one day needs to happen today. That was today in a yay version. Anyway, so yeah, how are you feeling about that? And then how are you feeling about travel? Because travel can definitely be one of those things where we're like, oh yeah, one day. But one day is a dangerous game to play. I think it's important to kind of set dates, even if it's in 2 years' time for travel, because travel can definitely be very expensive, especially when you're flying from Australia to Europe. Like, whereas if you're already in Europe, it's a lot easier to get around. Anyway, even if it's in 2 years, then you know a date, you know roughly how much you want to have saved by then. You can start putting money away, you can start planning and all of that. So how are you feeling about your travel? Have you said, oh, I really want to go there one day, but then not really actioned anything? So I really encourage you to action something. And it's so fun to be looking forward to a trip and saving for a trip, so that when it does come around, you're like, wow, I've really earned this, instead of just like putting it on your credit card and then coming home and then being like, oh my God, now I have to pay off this holiday. Definitely don't recommend. Anyway, so those are all the pillars of your life that you might want to check in with yourself, rate yourself like 1 out of 10, and then, you know, write down, what do you think I could do to get this to a 9 or a 10? And like, all these things don't have to be 10 out of 10 all the time. Like, I think these things definitely ebb and flow, and sometimes one takes way more priority than the others, but then it all comes back evenly. So those are the things to check in with yourself. And then from there, you can kind of see what your priority is for the year. And so for me, I know that this year is the year of travel, but it's also the year of bad bitch energy. Sorry to be cringe, but I'm here for cringe. It is bad bitch energy, and literally just sending it, because I think in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm 24. And whilst that's young, I'm also like, where did the time go? I feel like I just finished school. And I know that's just going to continue. So I'm like, well, I may as well make the big bold moves that I want to do and stop overthinking it all and just YOLO do it. And the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work, and then I'll just try a different thing. It's just like, I have no kids. I have no mortgage. I don't have, you know, things that are going to burn if the things I try go wrong. So that's where I'm coming from. I highly recommend, having a theme for your year. I know last year's, oh my God, maybe it was the year before. I don't know. But one of them was learning, earning, and growing. That was a good one. But yeah, I think this is definitely the year of travel, and then just like sending it in what I want to do. So it's kind of like big brave energy, bad bitch energy. So Let me know what your themes are. Send me a message. I would love to know what they are. And from that, maybe create habits and actions and think, okay, what would a bad bitch energy look like? Okay, well, that would look like, making sure I am doing my meditation in the morning so I can stay calm and steady when I'm doing scary stuff. Maybe it looks like when I'm feeling the fear, doing it anyway, okay? Examples, all right? Sorry, that was an example. I can see that it has been 20 minutes since starting this recording, so I will stop here because we want this to be a mini episode. But thank you so, so much for tuning in, and thank you for being patient whilst I had a Christmas holiday. It was much needed. If you want to come join the party, please press subscribe or follow on whatever platform you're on. It honestly helps so, so much, and I adore seeing all of the new friends on here. You can come check me out on Instagram at Attitudes with Andy. We have lots of positive posts coming out, so tune in for that. And if you did enjoy this, feel free to give it a review and share it on your stories, as that really, really does help spread the good word. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week, and happy 2024. Okay, I love you all. Bye. Mwah.